Every single moment you waste questioning your abilities, doubting your decisions, or drowning in endless tasks without purpose. Someone else is moving forward with crystal clarity, accomplishing in hours what takes others days, transforming their dreams into reality while you're still planning to plan. Personal efficiency isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter, and Robert Grimshaw understood this fundamental truth when he penned his groundbreaking work that has transformed countless lives across generations. This isn't just another self-help philosophy. This is a complete system for reclaiming your time, your energy, and your life from the chaos that surrounds you. Think about your typical day for a moment. You wake up with good intentions, determined to accomplish everything on your mental checklist. Yet by evening, you find yourself exhausted, frustrated, wondering where all those hours disappeared to. You're busy, constantly moving, always doing something, but are you actually progressing toward your goals? Are you building the life you truly want, or are you simply reacting to whatever demands others place on you? Grimshaw recognized this universal struggle, this gap between our aspirations and our accomplishments, and he dedicated himself to discovering why some people achieve extraordinary results while others remain perpetually stuck, despite working just as hard, sometimes even harder. The foundation of personal efficiency begins with understanding a truth that most people never grasp. You cannot manage time, you can only manage yourself. Time flows forward regardless of what you do, giving exactly 24 hours to every person on this planet, from the billionaire CEO to the struggling student. The difference in their outcomes doesn't come from having more time. It comes from how they use the time they have. Grimshaw emphasizes that efficiency isn't about cramming more activities into your day. It's about eliminating the unnecessary and focusing your energy on what truly matters. It's about making conscious choices rather than letting circumstances control you. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur named Thomas, overwhelmed by the demands of his growing business. He worked 16-hour days, answered emails at midnight, attended every meeting, tried to personally oversee every aspect of his company. Yet despite this crushing workload, his business plateaued, growth stalled, and he found himself on the edge of burnout. When he discovered Grimshaw's principles, everything changed. He learned to distinguish between urgent and important, to delegate effectively, to create systems instead of relying on constant personal intervention. Within 6 months, he had cut his working hours in half, while his business revenue doubled. He wasn't working less hard, he was working with precision, focusing his efforts where they created maximum impact, eliminating the countless small tasks that consumed time without producing results. Grimshaw's approach begins with brutal honesty about how you currently spend your time. Most people have no idea where their hours actually go. They feel busy, they know they're working, but tracking their activities reveals shocking truths. Hours lost to meaningless meetings that accomplish nothing, time drained by constant interruptions and context switching, energy wasted on tasks that could be eliminated entirely or delegated to others. The first step toward personal efficiency is creating awareness through systematic tracking. For 1 full week, record every activity, every task, every interruption, noting not just what you did but how long it took and whether it moved you closer to your goals. This exercise alone transforms most people's productivity because awareness naturally leads to better choices. When you realize you spent 3 hours scrolling through social media yesterday, or that your commute consumes 15 hours weekly, or that you attend 12 hours of meetings but only 2 were actually valuable, you can't unknow this information. You become conscious of the leaks in your life, the places where your precious time hemorrhages away without purpose. Grimshaw doesn't judge these discoveries, he simply insists you face them honestly because you cannot fix problems you refuse to acknowledge. Once you understand where your time currently goes, the next phase involves defining what Grimshaw calls your prime objectives, the handful of goals that truly matter to you. Not the dozens of things you think you should do, not the ambitions others have projected onto you, but the 3 to 5 outcomes that would genuinely transform your life if accomplished. These might be professional goals like launching a business or earning a promotion. Personal goals like improving your health or strengthening relationships. Creative goals like writing a book or learning an instrument. The specific objectives matter less than ensuring they're authentically yours, chosen through reflection rather than external pressure. Here's where most productivity systems fail. They help you do more things, but they don't help you determine which things actually deserve your effort. You can be supremely efficient at accomplishing goals that don't matter, checking boxes and completing tasks while your real dreams remain untouched. Grimshaw insists on this foundation of clarity because efficiency without purpose is just sophisticated, busy work. You must know where you're going before you can determine the fastest route to get there. Many people resist this step because defining clear objectives requires making difficult choices, saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones, accepting that you cannot do everything and must therefore choose carefully. Think about a gardener trying to cultivate a magnificent garden. If she tries to grow every possible plant, spreading her water and fertilizer thinly across hundreds of species, she'll end up with a mediocre mess. But if she selects a few varieties that thrive in her climate and focuses her resources on those, she can create something spectacular. Your life works the same way. You have limited time, limited energy, limited attention. Spreading these resources across too many goals guarantees mediocrity in all of them. Concentrating them on your prime objectives creates the possibility of excellence. After establishing your prime objectives, Grimshaw guides you through analyzing each one to identify the specific actions that will move you toward achievement. This isn't about creating elaborate plans that never get executed. It's about determining the next concrete step you can take right now. Too many people get paralyzed by the enormity of their goals, feeling overwhelmed before they even start. Breaking large objectives into small, actionable tasks eliminates this paralysis. You can't write a book, but you can write 500 words today. You can't lose 50 pounds, but you can make one healthy meal choice right now. You can't build $1 million business, but you can make one sales call this morning. This principle of breaking down objectives extends to how you structure your days. Grimshaw advocates for what he calls block scheduling, dedicating specific chunks of time to specific categories of work, rather than randomly bouncing between different types of tasks. The human brain operates most efficiently when it can focus deeply on one type of thinking at a time. When you constantly switch between activities, checking email, then working on a report, then taking a phone call, then checking social media, then returning to the report, you lose tremendous energy and time to the transition costs. Each switch requires your brain to reorient, to remember context, to rebuild momentum. Compare this to the power of concentration. When you schedule 2 uninterrupted hours for deep creative work, protecting that time from all distractions, you can accomplish more than you might in an entire day of fragmented effort. During those focused hours, you enter what psychologists call flow state, where work feels almost effortless, where hours pass like minutes, where your best thinking emerges naturally. But flow requires time to develop, usually at least 20 minutes of sustained focus before you reach that optimal state. If you're constantly interrupted, you never get there, spending your entire day in the shallow waters of scattered attention. Grimshaw also addresses the psychology of decision fatigue, a phenomenon where making many small decisions throughout the day depletes your mental energy, leaving you exhausted by evening, even if you haven't done physically demanding work. Every choice requires energy. What to wear, what to eat, which task to tackle next, how to respond to that email, whether to attend that meeting. Successful people reduce decision fatigue by creating routines and systems that eliminate unnecessary choices. Steve Jobs famously wore the same style of clothing every day, not because he couldn't afford variety, but because he understood that decision about what to wear was using mental resources better devoted to more important matters. You can apply this principle across your life. Establish routines for your morning activities so you don't waste energy deciding whether to exercise or sleep in, what to have for breakfast, when to check your phone. Create templates for recurring tasks so you don't reinvent the wheel each time. Develop decision rules that automate choices, such as automatically declining meetings that don't have a clear agenda, or always tackling your most important task first thing in the morning before addressing emails. These systems and routines might seem rigid at first, but they actually create freedom by eliminating the mental burden of constant decision-making, preserving your energy for choices that truly matter. The concept of energy management proves just as crucial as time management in Grimshaw's system. You can have all the time in the world, but if you lack energy, you won't accomplish anything meaningful. Yet most people abuse their energy, pushing through fatigue, neglecting rest, fueling themselves with caffeine and sugar instead of addressing the underlying exhaustion. Grimshaw emphasizes that your energy fluctuates throughout the day in predictable patterns, and working with these natural rhythms rather than against them dramatically improves your efficiency. Most people experience peak mental clarity and creative thinking in the morning, a few hours after waking. This is when you should schedule your most demanding cognitive work, the tasks requiring analysis, creativity, strategic thinking. As the day progresses, your mental sharpness typically declines, making afternoon better suited for routine tasks, meetings, administrative work, anything that doesn't require your highest level of thinking. Late afternoon often brings a second, smaller peak of energy, which you might use for physical tasks or collaborative work. Evening usually represents your lowest energy state, best reserved for rest, light reading, time with family, activities that restore rather than deplete you. But here's the critical insight. These patterns are tendencies, not absolutes, and you must understand your own rhythms through observation. Some people are night owls who think best late in the evening. Others are early birds who peak before most people are awake. There's no universal optimal schedule, only what works for your unique biology and circumstances. Track your energy levels alongside your time use during that initial week of awareness, noting when you feel most alert, when you struggle to concentrate, when you feel creative, when you just want to collapse. Then design your schedule to align important work with high energy periods rather than forcing yourself to power through fatigue. Around the 10-minute mark in our exploration of these principles, please take a moment to like and subscribe to Audiobook Library, as it helps our channel grow and enables us to continue bringing you these transformative ideas that can genuinely change your life. Your support makes a real difference in our ability to share wisdom from the world's greatest thinkers. Sleep deserves special attention in any discussion of personal efficiency because it's the foundation of everything else. Yet it's usually the first thing people sacrifice when they feel overwhelmed. Grimshaw makes an emphatic case that cheating on sleep is among the worst efficiency strategies imaginable. When you're sleep-deprived, your cognitive function declines dramatically. You make poor decisions, you process information more slowly, you struggle with emotional regulation, you're more susceptible to illness. The person who sleeps 5 hours and works 16 isn't more productive than the person who sleeps 8 and works 13. They're actually accomplishing less despite the extra hours, because their impaired mental state means lower quality work done more slowly. Modern research confirms Grimshaw's emphasis on sleep. Studies show that after 17 hours of sustained wakefulness, your cognitive impairment equals that of someone with a blood alcohol level of 0.05%, legally drunk in most jurisdictions. Yet many people routinely operate in this state, wondering why they can't think clearly or accomplish what they intend. Prioritizing adequate sleep isn't lazy or self-indulgent, it's a fundamental requirement for high performance. Elite athletes understand this, often sleeping 9 or 10 hours nightly because they recognize that rest is when their bodies rebuild and strengthen. Your brain works the same way, consolidating memories, processing information, clearing metabolic waste during sleep. Shortchange this process and you shortchange every aspect of your performance. Beyond sleep, other restoration practices enhance your efficiency. Regular exercise might seem like it takes time away from productive work, but it actually increases your capacity for work by improving mental clarity, reducing stress, boosting energy levels. A 30-minute morning workout doesn't cost you 30 minutes of productivity. It enhances your cognitive function throughout the day, delivering far more than it costs. Similarly, meditation and mindfulness practices, even just 10 minutes daily, improve your ability to focus, reduce anxiety, increase emotional resilience. Proper nutrition, staying hydrated, taking short breaks during intense work periods, all these practices that seem like they slow you down actually accelerate your progress by keeping you operating at peak capacity. Grimshaw also tackles the efficiency killer that plagues modern life more than ever: constant interruption and distraction. In his era, interruptions came mainly from other people walking into your office, or phone calls disrupting your work. Today, we face an unprecedented assault on our attention from smartphones buzzing with notifications, email demanding instant responses, social media algorithmically designed to capture our focus, messaging apps creating expectation of immediate availability. The average person checks their phone over 100 times per day, fragmenting their attention into meaningless shards, making deep focus nearly impossible. The solution isn't more willpower, it's better systems. Remove temptation by creating environments conducive to focus. When you need to do deep work, put your phone in another room, log out of distracting websites, use apps that block access to social media, close your email program, tell colleagues and family about your focused work blocks so they know not to interrupt except for genuine emergencies. Create what Grimshaw would call fortresses of concentration, time and space protected from the outside world, where you can think deeply without interruption. This might feel uncomfortable initially because we've been conditioned to believe we must be constantly available, responsive, plugged in. But consider this. Was there ever a true emergency that suffered catastrophic consequences because someone took 2 hours to respond instead of 2 minutes? The perceived urgency of most interruptions is illusion. Very few things actually require instant attention, yet we treat everything as if it does. Breaking this habit, establishing boundaries around your time and attention initially feels risky, but ultimately proves liberating. People adapt, learning to respect your focused time, and you accomplish exponentially more because you're finally giving your best cognitive resources to your most important work. Delegation and collaboration form another pillar of Grimshaw's efficiency system. Yet these prove difficult for many people, especially high achievers who pride themselves on their ability to handle everything personally. The mentality of doing it all yourself seems productive, but actually creates a ceiling on what you can accomplish. You are one person with finite hours, finite skills, finite energy. If you insist on personally performing every task, your achievements will always be limited by your personal capacity. But when you leverage other people's time and talents through effective delegation, you multiply what's possible. Delegation requires trust and clear communication. You must accurately convey what needs to be done, establish clear standards, provide necessary resources, then step back and allow the other person to work without micromanaging. Many delegation attempts fail because the person delegating either gives inadequate instruction, doesn't truly let go of control, or assigns tasks without ensuring the other person has the skills and resources needed to succeed. When delegation works well, both parties benefit. You free your time for higher value activities that better utilize your unique talents, while the person you delegate to develops new skills and takes on more responsibility. This principle extends beyond formal employment relationships. You can delegate personal tasks through hiring help, trading services with friends, using technology to automate repetitive work. The key question for any task on your list is, am I the only person who can do this, or does it simply need to be done? If the answer is the latter, seriously consider whether you should do it yourself or find another way. Your time has value, and spending it on tasks anyone could perform means not spending it on activities where your unique contribution makes a difference. Grimshaw's system also addresses the challenge of managing information and maintaining organization, which becomes increasingly critical as life grows more complex. Disorganization acts as a hidden tax on your efficiency, forcing you to waste time searching for documents, recreating work you've already done because you can't find it, missing deadlines because you forgot about commitments, making mistakes because relevant information wasn't accessible when you needed it. Yet many people resist creating organizational systems, viewing them as tedious overhead rather than infrastructure that accelerates everything else. The solution doesn't require elaborate complexity. Simple systems consistently applied prove far more effective than sophisticated systems inconsistently used. Grimshaw advocates for a few key principles. Have one place for each type of information rather than scattering notes across multiple notebooks, apps, scraps of paper. Process inputs regularly instead of letting them pile up into overwhelming backlogs. Make decisions about items when you first encounter them rather than repeatedly handling the same piece of paper or email. Create clear labels and filing systems so you can retrieve what you need quickly. Consider the 2-minute rule Grimshaw implicitly suggests. If something takes less than 2 minutes to handle, do it immediately rather than adding it to a list for later. The time spent writing it down, remembering it, coming back to it later exceeds the time to just handle it now. For items requiring more than 2 minutes, capture them in a trusted system where you can process them during designated time blocks. This prevents the mental burden of trying to remember everything, freeing your mind for actual thinking rather than using it as a low-quality storage device. Email deserves special mention as a major efficiency challenge in modern work. Most people allow email to control their day, constantly checking it, letting incoming messages dictate their priorities, treating their inbox like a to-do list created by other people. Grimshaw would advocate for a more strategic approach. Check email only at designated times rather than constantly, perhaps 2 or 3 times daily rather than dozens. Process your inbox to 0 regularly using clear decision rules. Delete, delegate, defer, or do. Unsubscribe aggressively from newsletters and notifications you don't actually read. Use filters and folders to automatically sort routine messages. Write clear, concise emails that reduce back-and-forth exchanges. Many people fear that checking email only a few times daily will cause them to miss something urgent, but experimentation reveals this rarely happens. Most email isn't truly urgent, and the things that are genuinely time-sensitive usually come through other channels like phone calls or in-person communication. What you gain from email discipline far exceeds what you risk. Hours of reclaimed time, ability to focus deeply without constant interruption, operating from your own priorities rather than everyone else's. The principle of batch processing applies broadly beyond email. Any recurring task becomes more efficient when you group similar items and handle them all at once, rather than scattering them throughout your day. If you need to make several phone calls, schedule a calling block and make them consecutively rather than spacing them out. If you have errands to run, batch them into one trip rather than multiple separate excursions. If you're preparing social media posts, create several at once rather than one daily. The setup cost for any type of task happens once per session, so doing 10 similar things together proves more efficient than doing 10 things individually across 10 different occasions. Grimshaw also emphasizes the importance of saying no, perhaps the most powerful efficiency tool that people most struggle to use. Every yes to one thing is a no to something else, whether you acknowledge it or not. When you agree to serve on that committee, you're saying no to time with your family or progress on your book. When you accept that lunch invitation, you're saying no to focused work during your peak energy hours. When you commit to that new project, you're saying no to the mental space needed for strategic thinking. Most people understand this intellectually, but still struggle to decline requests, fearing they'll disappoint others or miss opportunities. The reality is that selective commitment, carefully choosing what deserves your yes and confidently saying no to everything else, is what separates highly effective people from those who stay perpetually busy, but rarely accomplish what truly matters to them. You cannot do everything, so you must choose, and that means saying no far more often than you say yes. Grimshaw would suggest developing default responses for common requests that allow you to decline graciously. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not able to commit to this right now. Or, that sounds interesting, but it doesn't align with my current priorities. You don't need to explain or justify. A simple, polite decline suffices. This becomes easier when you're anchored to your prime objectives because you have clear criteria for evaluation. When a request comes in, ask yourself, does this move me toward my most important goals? If the answer is no, declining becomes obvious rather than agonizing. Many opportunities might be good, might be interesting, might be enjoyable, but if they don't serve your highest priorities, they're distractions regardless of their inherent merit. Learning to distinguish between good and essential, between interesting and important, transforms your effectiveness. Consider the story of Maria, a talented designer who struggled to grow her freelance business. Despite working constantly, she accepted every project that came her way, unable to turn down paying work, even when it didn't fit her expertise or pay well. Her calendar overflowed with jobs that barely covered her expenses, while preventing her from pursuing higher-value clients or developing her skills in her specialty. When she finally implemented Grimshaw's principles, she made a radical shift. She said no to the small, poorly paid projects, even though it meant initially earning less money. This created space for her to market herself to premium clients, to take online courses improving her specialized skills, to create a portfolio showcasing her best work. Within a year, she had tripled her rates and was turning away work because demand for her services exceeded her capacity. Maria's transformation illustrates a counterintuitive truth. Sometimes doing less leads to accomplishing more. She was working fewer hours on fewer projects, but earning significantly more money while building a sustainable, satisfying business. The same principle applies across different domains. The student who focuses on truly understanding core concepts, rather than superficially covering every possible topic, gets better grades with less study time. The parent who gives full attention during dedicated family time builds stronger relationships than the parent who's physically present but mentally distracted for twice as many hours. Quality of effort often matters far more than quantity. Grimshaw recognized that personal efficiency isn't just about optimizing your work. It's about creating a life that feels meaningful and satisfying rather than just productive on paper. What's the point of accomplishing everything on your to-do list if you're miserable, exhausted, disconnected from the people you love? True efficiency means achieving your important goals while maintaining your health, relationships, and sense of fulfillment. It means working in ways that energize rather than deplete you, that bring out your best qualities rather than forcing you into uncomfortable molds. This requires regular reflection and adjustment. Your prime objectives will evolve as you grow and circumstances change. Systems that work beautifully for a while may need modification as your life shifts. Grimshaw advocates for regular reviews, perhaps weekly and monthly, where you step back from the daily grind to evaluate whether your current approach still serves you. Are you making progress on what matters most? Are you maintaining balance across important life domains? Do your daily activities align with your stated priorities, or has drift occurred? These review sessions allow you to course correct before minor misalignments become major problems. Weekly reviews might focus on the immediate horizon, looking at the week ahead, ensuring your calendar reflects your priorities, reviewing your task list, clearing away completed items, identifying potential obstacles. Monthly reviews take a broader view, assessing progress toward major goals, identifying patterns in how you're spending time, celebrating wins, learning from setbacks, making larger strategic adjustments. These reflection practices keep you actively steering your life rather than passively letting it unfold according to others' agendas or unconscious habits. Many people resist this kind of structured reflection, feeling like it's yet another task on an already overwhelming list. But consider it an investment with enormous returns. An hour spent in thoughtful planning and review saves many hours of wasted effort pursuing the wrong things or using inefficient approaches. It's the difference between bushwhacking through dense forest, hoping you're going the right direction, versus occasionally climbing a tree to check your bearing and identify the clearest path forward. The time spent climbing pays for itself many times over. Grimshaw also addresses the reality that life inevitably includes interruptions and unexpected demands, no matter how well you plan. Emergency calls from family, illness derailing your schedule, crucial opportunities that require immediate action, crises at work that genuinely need your urgent attention. Perfect adherence to your ideal schedule is impossible, and attempting it leads to frustration when reality inevitably intrudes. Instead, build flexibility into your systems, maintaining margin in your calendar rather than scheduling every minute, preserving some uncommitted energy rather than operating constantly at your limit. This margin serves multiple purposes. It absorbs unexpected demands without derailing everything else. It provides space for opportunities you couldn't have planned for. It prevents the brittleness that comes from systems with no slack. When you're operating at 100% capacity with no room for variability, any disruption creates a crisis. When you maintain reasonable margin, disruptions become manageable adjustments rather than catastrophes. This might mean scheduling only 6 hours of focused work daily, even though you have 8 available, preserving the difference for interruptions, transition time, and mental rest. The concept of margin extends beyond time to other resources. Financial margin means having savings rather than living paycheck to paycheck, which allows you to handle unexpected expenses and take advantage of opportunities without panic. Energy margin means not exhausting yourself every day, maintaining reserves that let you handle high-demand periods without collapsing. Relationship margin means investing in connections during calm periods so you have support when you face challenges. Systems with appropriate margin are resilient, able to handle variability and stress without breaking down. Systems without margin are fragile, vulnerable to failure when anything goes wrong. Technology offers powerful tools for improving personal efficiency, but it also creates new traps. Grimshaw couldn't have anticipated smartphones and social media, but his principles apply. Technology should serve your objectives, not become an end in itself. Every app you adopt should have a clear purpose, aligned with your goals, and should prove itself through results, not just appeal through novelty. Many people accumulate dozens of productivity apps without becoming more productive, spending more time managing their tools than actually working. The key is selective adoption and ruthless elimination. Choose simple, robust tools that genuinely improve your effectiveness, then master them rather than constantly switching to the newest option. A sophisticated tool used poorly delivers worse results than a simple tool used well. For most people, basic capabilities suffice: a calendar for time management, a task list for tracking commitments, a note-taking app for capturing ideas, maybe a project management tool if you coordinate complex work with others. Elaborate systems with excessive features usually create more complexity than value. Automation deserves consideration wherever you perform repetitive tasks. Email filters that automatically sort messages, bill payments that happen automatically each month, software that generates routine reports, templates for common communications, all these reduce the time you spend on mechanical work, freeing you for activities requiring human judgment and creativity. The initial setup requires effort, but the ongoing returns compound over time. An hour spent creating an email template saves minutes every time you use it, quickly repaying the investment and then generating pure profit in time saved. Grimshaw's emphasis on continuous improvement means constantly looking for small optimizations that accumulate into major gains. The Japanese concept of Kaizen, seeking 1% improvements repeatedly, applies perfectly to personal efficiency. You don't need massive overhauls, just consistent attention to small enhancements. If you find a way to save 5 minutes daily through a better process, that's 30 hours saved per year, almost a full work week. Multiple 5-minute savings compound dramatically. This mindset of ongoing refinement, always asking, is there a better way to handle this, keeps you evolving rather than stagnating. Yet Grimshaw also warns against perfectionism that prevents action. Some people spend more time planning the perfect system than actually executing, or they abandon good systems because they're not flawless. Done is better than perfect, and progress beats preparation. It's better to implement an imperfect system today that delivers 70% of optimal results than to wait months designing the perfect system that might deliver 90%. The difference between 70 and 90% rarely justifies the delay, and you can refine the system while using it, gaining both immediate benefits and learning that informs improvements. This bias toward action, toward testing ideas in reality, rather than endlessly theorizing, accelerates your development. You learn far more from doing than from planning to do. When you try an efficiency technique and it doesn't work well, you've gained valuable data about what doesn't fit your situation. When something works better than expected, you can immediately expand its application. This experimental approach, treating your life as a laboratory for discovering what works for you specifically, proves more valuable than rigidly following anyone else's prescriptions, including Grimshaw's. Your unique combination of talents, interests, circumstances, and goals means your optimal efficiency system will differ from everyone else's. Grimshaw provides principles and frameworks, not rigid rules. He offers guidance for discovering your own best practices rather than insisting everyone follow identical methods. This flexibility makes his work timeless, applicable across different eras, cultures, and individual situations. The fundamentals of knowing your priorities, eliminating waste, focusing your energy, managing yourself effectively. These transcend specific circumstances. Think about two people applying Grimshaw's principles, Chas, an entrepreneur building a company and a parent raising young children. Their implementations look completely different. The entrepreneur might focus on delegation, building systems, structured work blocks. The parent might emphasize energy management, efficient household routines, protecting family time. Yet both are applying the same underlying concepts: clarity about what matters most, elimination of less important activities, strategic use of limited resources. The principles work regardless of specific application because they address universal human challenges of time, energy, and attention. Grimshaw also recognizes that efficiency serves life, not the other way around. Some activities deliver value beyond their productive output and shouldn't be optimized away. Playing with your children, enjoying a leisurely dinner with friends, taking a walk in nature without destination or purpose, creating art for its own sake rather than commercial value, these experiences matter profoundly, even though they don't advance measurable goals. Efficiency without wisdom leads to a narrow, impoverished existence. The goal is using your time well, and sometimes that means choosing connection, joy, beauty, rest over productivity. This balance between achievement and enjoyment, between doing and being, represents the highest form of personal efficiency. It's not about cramming maximum accomplishment into minimum time. It's about creating a life that feels rich and meaningful, where you make progress on important goals while also savoring the journey, where you contribute value to the world while taking care of yourself, where ambition and contentment coexist rather than conflict. Many people swing between extremes, either grinding themselves down in pursuit of achievement or abandoning goals entirely in favor of comfort. Grimshaw offers a middle path of purposeful, sustainable effectiveness. Consider the metaphor of a marathon runner. A sprinter's strategy doesn't work for 26 miles. You must pace yourself, conserve energy for the distance, maintain form that you can sustain for hours. But you also can't jog casually if you want to achieve your time goal. You need focused effort applied intelligently, pushing yourself while respecting your limits, staying present to how your body responds, and adjusting accordingly. Your life is a marathon, not a sprint, and Grimshaw's efficiency principles help you run it well, maintaining strong pace without burning out, crossing the finish line with strength rather than crawling across depleted. As we approach the conclusion of our exploration, please remember to check out other videos in our audiobook library, where you'll find many more transformative ideas from history's greatest thinkers that can help you build the life you truly want. Your continued support and engagement with our content helps us grow and bring even more valuable wisdom to curious minds like yours. The practice of personal efficiency ultimately becomes a form of self-respect, an acknowledgement that your time, your energy, your life matter. When you let days slip away in distraction and ineffectiveness, you're not just losing productivity, you're losing pieces of your finite existence that you'll never reclaim. Every day matters, every hour is a gift, every moment is an opportunity to move toward the person you want to become and the life you want to create. Treating your time with care isn't selfish or obsessive. It's honoring the preciousness of your brief time on this planet. Grimshaw wrote in an era before modern neuroscience confirmed his insights about attention, before research validated his emphasis on energy management, before studies demonstrated the power of focused work and the cost of constant distraction. Yet his observations remain startlingly relevant because he understood fundamental truths about human nature that transcend technological change. We still have the same basic needs for meaning, for accomplishment, for effectiveness that people had in his time. The specific challenges differ, the tools available have evolved, but the core principles of managing ourselves wisely remain constant. Implementing these principles requires commitment and patience with yourself. You won't transform overnight from scattered and overwhelmed to perfectly efficient. You'll slip back into old habits. You'll have days where everything falls apart despite your best efforts. You'll sometimes question whether the effort is worth it. This is normal, expected, part of the process. What matters is persistence, the willingness to keep returning to effective practices even after you abandon them. to learn from failures rather than being defeated by them, to celebrate progress rather than demanding perfection. Start small if the full system feels overwhelming. Choose one area to improve, perhaps how you handle email or how you structure your mornings, and focus on that until it becomes natural. Then add another element. Small wins build confidence and momentum. Each improvement makes the next one easier because you're experiencing the benefits, feeling the difference between reactive chaos and intentional control. Success breeds success as you realize you're capable of more than you thought, that you can in fact design your life rather than just endure it. Remember that efficiency isn't about becoming a robot, mechanically optimizing every minute. It's about having the freedom to focus on what matters because you're not drowning in what doesn't. It's about having energy for the people you love because you're not exhausted from wasting it on meaningless tasks. It's about making real progress on meaningful goals because you're actually working on them instead of just wishing you had time for them. Efficiency is the foundation that makes everything else possible. Grimshaw would encourage you to see your current situation not as a permanent condition, but as a starting point for transformation. Wherever you are right now, whatever challenges you face, whatever goals seem impossibly distant, you can improve your effectiveness and begin closing the gap between your current reality and your desired future. This doesn't require superhuman abilities or perfect circumstances, just willingness to apply proven principles consistently over time. Small daily improvements compound into remarkable long-term results. Think about compound interest in finance, how money grows exponentially when returns reinvest over years. Personal efficiency works the same way. When you save 30 minutes daily through better systems, you don't just get 30 minutes back. You get those minutes every single day for the rest of your life. When you improve your decision-making process so you make slightly better choices consistently, those improved choices lead to better outcomes, which create better opportunities, which lead to more improved choices in an upward spiral. The effects multiply rather than simply add. This long-term perspective helps maintain motivation when progress feels slow. You might not notice dramatic changes week to week, but comparing yourself to a year ago, the transformation can be stunning. Looking 5 or 10 years out, consistent application of efficiency principles can completely reshape your life, taking you to places that seem unreachable from your current vantage point. Every master was once a beginner. Every expert started as a novice. Every overnight success involved years of invisible preparation. Your journey toward greater effectiveness follows the same pattern. Grimshaw also reminds us that personal efficiency serves a purpose beyond individual achievement. When you use your time and talents well, you create value not just for yourself, but for everyone your life touches. The entrepreneur who builds efficiency into their business creates jobs, serves customers better, has more impact. The parent who manages their life effectively provides a more stable, nurturing environment for their children. The professional who works with focus and skill delivers better results for their clients or employer. The artist who maintains sustainable creative practice produces more work that enriches culture. Your personal effectiveness ripples outward, benefiting others in ways you might never fully realize. This broader context provides meaning beyond self-interest. Yes, you want to accomplish your goals and feel satisfied with your life, but you also want to contribute, to make a difference, to leave things better than you found them. Personal efficiency enables this contribution by ensuring you have something to give, rather than constantly operating from depletion. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot help others effectively when you're barely keeping your own head above water. Taking care of your own effectiveness isn't selfish, it's responsible. It's preparation for service. As you move forward from here, carrying Grimshaw's wisdom into your daily life, remember that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, as the ancient saying goes. You don't need to implement everything immediately. You don't need to become a productivity machine overnight. You just need to take the next right action. Maybe that's tracking your time for a week to see where it actually goes. Maybe it's defining your prime objectives clearly for the first time. Maybe it's scheduling one block of distraction-free focus time tomorrow. Whatever feels like the logical next step for you, take it, then take the next step after that, and the one after that, building momentum through consistent action rather than waiting for perfect conditions or complete clarity. The path becomes visible as you walk it. Obstacles that seemed insurmountable from a distance often prove manageable up close, and confidence grows through doing rather than planning. You have everything you need right now to begin improving your personal efficiency, and beginning is the essential step that makes everything else possible. Grimshaw's work endures because it speaks to our deepest needs as human beings seeking to make the most of our brief time alive. We all want to matter, to accomplish things we're proud of, to look back on our lives without regret. We want to be present for the people we love, to develop our talents, to contribute something meaningful. Personal efficiency isn't a dry technical subject. It's the practical foundation for living well, for translating your values and dreams into reality, rather than letting them remain beautiful fantasies that never materialize. Your life is happening now, not someday when conditions are perfect, not after you finish this current overwhelming phase, not when you finally have time. This moment is all you ever have, and the question is whether you'll use it with intention or let it slip away unremarked. Grimshaw offers you the tools to choose intention, to take control, to become the author of your life, rather than a character in someone else's story. The principles are simple but not easy, clear but requiring commitment, proven but demanding application. Thousands of people across generations have transformed their lives through these ideas, moving from frustration and overwhelm to clarity and accomplishment, from scattered busyness to focused effectiveness, from feeling like victims of circumstance to feeling empowered to shape their reality. You can join this lineage of people who decided that their time mattered too much to waste, who committed to using their gifts fully, who chose effectiveness over excuses. This decision, this commitment, starts now with your next action. The beauty of personal efficiency is that improvement is always possible, regardless of your starting point. Whether you're currently a complete mess or already quite organized, there's room to grow, ways to optimize, new levels of effectiveness to achieve. This isn't about reaching some final destination of perfect productivity. It's about continuous growth, always seeking better ways to work and live, always refining your approach based on experience and changing circumstances. It's a journey without end, which means the benefits keep accumulating as long as you keep practicing. As you close this audiobook and return to your day, you stand at a threshold moment. You can let these ideas fade into the background, interesting concepts you heard once but never implemented, joining the vast graveyard of good intentions that never became habits. Or you can decide right now that something will change, that you'll take at least one principle from Grimshaw's work and actually apply it, testing whether these time-tested ideas can work for you as they have for countless others. The choice is entirely yours, as is the life you'll build through the accumulation of such choices. Remember that every expert at personal efficiency once struggled just like you might be struggling now. They felt overwhelmed, they wasted time, they fell short of their potential. What distinguished them wasn't superior genetics or perfect circumstances, it was the decision to change combined with persistent application of proven principles. They stumbled and failed and kept going anyway, learned from mistakes, celebrated small wins, maintained faith that consistent effort would eventually produce remarkable results. And it did, as it can for you if you're willing to walk the same path. Grimshaw's gift to us is a roadmap drawn from careful observation of human nature and practical experience with what actually works. He didn't offer theory disconnected from reality or inspirational fluff without substance. He provided concrete, actionable guidance rooted in timeless truths. His work respects your intelligence while challenging your habits, encourages your growth while acknowledging your struggles, offers hope while demanding effort. It's the rare kind of wisdom that serves you whether you're 20 or 70, struggling or succeeding, just starting out or well along your journey. The transformation from where you are to where you want to be doesn't happen through magic or luck. It happens through the deliberate application of principles like those Grimshaw teaches, applied daily with patience and persistence until new habits replace old patterns, until effectiveness becomes your default rather than something you occasionally achieve. This transformation is available to you starting right now, if you're willing to claim it. Your time is precious, your potential is vast, your life matters deeply. Use Grimshaw's wisdom to honor these truths through how you spend your days, and watch as your life transforms in ways that exceed what currently seems possible. Please check out our videos library for more transformative content that can help you continue growing into the person you're meant to become, building the life you truly want and making the difference only you can make in this world.